Good evening, everybody. I wanted to share my devotions at church this morning with you. So, Jesus said, he sat there on his donkey looking at Jerusalem. He said, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often would I have gathered you as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you would not." And then he wept. And I wonder when he looks at us as churches, Jerusalem, how often he says that same thing or thinks it of us. Um, I told this morning about a sand grouse that lives in Africa and the Middle East and Israel that gets up. The male sand grouse flies up to 20 miles one way every morning to a water hole at the crack of daylight, and there he gets a drink, and then he wades out into the water, and it takes about 15 minutes, and he shimmies himself around, and his belly feathers are made so they're like a sponge, and they wick up water up to 20 cc's, which is almost 2 tablespoons. Then he flies with that water in his feathers back to his chicks, who use their little bills to, like little squeegees, to pull the water out of his feathers. And that is all the water they get until they are able themselves to fly to the water hole. The female goes and gets water. She doesn't do that. Her job is more to tend to the chicks. My takeaway from that story is, what do I take away when I go, when I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning and reading my Bible, or awake at 2 in the morning and praying and talking to God, or when I go to church? What do I take away that I can share? Apples of gold and pictures of silver, the Bible calls it. Words fitly spoken. We can give them throughout the day to random folks as God drops them in our path. And that is oftentimes the only nourishment they're going to ever get, because they have no appetite for God, or maybe they're in the hospital and they're shut in, or they can't, or whatever they've chosen to not come to God. And then I read, and I would encourage you to read Psalms 122. It talks about Jerusalem coming together, coming in peace as a brotherhood, and cleave together. It says you cleave together. And I don't think without that strong church body, we can please God, we can get nourishment, we can be strong enough to go back out and carry the weight of this life-giving water to those who can't come or won't. God bless you, and have a cup of coffee and think of your old man.